All right, I think we got it. We got everything plugged in. I'm going to shut that off. Turn on the Twitter. All right. Okay, everybody. We're back live. Everybody see me? Everybody can, is it happening? All right. Looks like the health is good. The stream health. We're closing that. Hello, Cannon Fodder. Hello, Jeremy. Hello, Karen Sheets. Hello, Tammy Burnett. God's Favorite Atheist. Good to have you. Can you all see me? Can you see my video? Can you see it happening? It looks good on my end. Let me refresh my page here. Going live? All right, I think we're live. Hello, everybody. So everything's working. Everything is fantastic. We'll get on this here. Everything is seeming to be live streaming it away. Well, hello everybody. This is Super Chat Sunday. It is Sunday, August 13th, 2017. My name is Graham Elwood. For those of you watching this later on the archive or just tuning in for the first time, good. Everyone can see it. Everyone can get on board. All right. Well, for those of you who are brand new to it, my name is Graham Elwood. This is my channel, The Political Vigilante. It's a progressive news show, and I've been on Jimmy Dore's podcast, The Jimmy Dore Show, and his YouTube numerous times. I've been on Aggressive Progressives with him on TYT, and I'm also a stand-up comic. You can go to my website, grahamelwood.com. Haven't been touring as much, but I got a new movie coming out, Earbuds, the podcasting documentary. It comes out September 12th. It'll be on iTunes and Google and all that business. So I've been doing this. I took last Sunday off because it was my birthday. And that is my red. The cover of my surfboard is red because I'm a Kremlin puppet, so I surf with Putin. And then that right there is the Batman light, the blue light that goes up there that Jimmy Dore seems to really like. And that's the world. And that's the prison the man is keeping me in. So we can start talking. You guys can ask me questions. We can talk about all different kinds of stuff. And it's good to see many of you here. Hello from Scotland. Redborn Recruitment. Jake Smith, good to see you here. David Malderin, Karen Sheets, Jeremy Walker, George Ho. Good to have everybody here. So, unsupported resolution. Why is it saying that? Everything seems to be working. All right. So, what are your questions? George Ho, you're from Bernie Land, apparently? Yes, that's it. That's where we're all from. We all live in Bernie Land. Okay. So, the question here from Tammy Burnett, been watching vids of panels at Politicon. Each side on the comments claims that their person killed it. If people are already entrenched in their beliefs, what is the purpose of Politicon? That's a great point. You know, that is part of the problem. We've talked about this a lot on the show, is everyone's just entrenched and playing for their team versus wanting to have a real discussion or a real debate. And it's not going to be an easy thing to overcome. But it's something that we can do here and elsewhere by hearing different sides of stuff and asking questions. One of the things I like to do, especially on these Super Chat Sundays, is hear different points of view and maybe have a discussion. And maybe I'm say like, I don't know, maybe I need more evidence. Maybe I think this, you think that. That's okay. And I think what needs to happen is we need to start agreeing on what we really want versus my team or my person or my candidate or my guy or my girl. I want them to win. We can say, what do we agree upon? Well, we want single-payer health care. We want to end all these useless wars and stop. We want to spend more money on the infrastructure. We want to have good schools and free college tuition. We want to have more jobs here. We want to have a Green New Deal. If we all start saying those things and we can start agreeing, and then we can get away from this my team versus your team nonsense. And also start living, you know, walking the walk by being more critical of people that you vote for and support versus just, well, I voted for this person, so I'm going to let them off the hook. You should actually be harder on people that you support and more critical of them, in my opinion. Belgium in the house, good to have you. Jake Smith, if 500 inbreds march in your town, should you ignore them or confront them? Man, Jake, that is a great question. Obviously, you know, I'm sure you're referring to what just happened in Virginia, which was pretty awful. I don't know, man. I was asking myself the same thing. If I saw a bunch of neo-Nazis marching in my town, would I go out and confront them? Part of me would really want to. Part of me would really want that confrontation. Part of me would think, especially since of that car driving into the people that were against the Nazis, part of me is beginning to really worry because I'm worried for this country that it's just going to erupt into violence. So that's why I would be worried, because I think that car driving into a crowd full of, you know, anti-Nazi protesters, and then the president and his people can't call them terrorists. The Klan and everybody white now, they're terrorists. They're Nazi terrorists. They're homegrown terrorists. I don't know if he's all mad at Obama for not saying, you know, radical Islams or Islamic terrorists or Islamic radicals or whatever. Why isn't he saying that about these people? They're terrorists. And we should, you know, we should do what Germany does. So, I think it's, I don't know, but I feel like I would be worried personally about going down and doing something because I feel like they're going to get more violent. I feel like now because of this, there's going to be a retaliation. The next time there's a bunch of neo-Nazis marching, somebody is going to get a gun and start shooting at the neo-Nazis, and they're going to respond, and it's going to be ugly. I think there's going to be more of this. You know, when those cops were shot in Baton Rouge and Dallas, I think you're going to see retaliations like that. So it makes me quite scared, quite honestly. Mustafa Sheikh. What do you think about the escalating North Korea-U.S. tensions? Man, it's so crazy on so many levels what Trump is doing. And it makes me worried, because Trump he's trying, I don't know why he's so hell-bent on stirring this up. And you know, it's scary. It's the thing we all feared about having this lunatic in office. It's the thing why I personally get even more mad at the Democrats. Like, Democrats are like, see, Jill Stein, all you people that voted against Hillary, this is what happens. And it's like they still won't admit the fact that if they would have run real candidate, a real campaign, or even just let Bernie win the nomination like he was supposed to rather than cheated from him, we wouldn't be here. But it is scary. It is a real situation. And to watch the mainstream corporate media, they're just doing, you know, CNN is just doing, well, this is how we would invade, and they have generals on talking, and it's just like, oh, war, and this is how Hawaii needs to prepare for a nuclear fallout, and it's insane. They're talking about, and very few people, I mean, if Jake Tapper is questioning it, but very few people in the mainstream media are questioning it, going, what the hell is he talking about? Everyone's talking about, oh, we're going to have to retaliate. There's going to be nukes. They're going to blow up Guam and Hawaii, and we're going to retaliate. Like, it's just crazy. It's insanity. I don't know what to think other than it's kind of insane, scary times. So that's my thought of that right now, man. Oh, a lot of questions. All right, guys, just so you know, one way to support the show is you hit that $, you get a super chat, meaning your question gets put up to the top, and I'll answer it since there's a lot of questions coming in right now. Phil Britton, the chaos of confusion is a tactic 101 of fascism. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point in terms of what Trump is doing. You know, his numbers are low. I did that video on the retired intelligence community people, the VIPs, VIPS, who are like the DNC leak. It was a DNC leak. It wasn't, the DNC emails weren't hacked. And, you know, Trump knows he has ties to the Soviet, you know, he knows his corrupt dealings with the Russians, Soviet Union. So every time he's in trouble, there's a distraction. You know, Syria was the last one, and this is what he keeps doing. So now he's saying crazy stuff about North Korea. It's nuts. Hugh Edwards, 30s Germany. Yeah. Zox Ovox is like the American government is holding the world hostage against the American people. Yeah, it's crazy. And I have my friend Mike Siegel, who does this Travel Tales podcast. He travels around the world, and he goes, the number one question I asked is, what the hell? Everyone's like, he was in Australia, he was in Europe. I was like, what the hell's going on with Trump? What the hell's going on with America? What are you guys doing? How did you let this happen? And it's a real question, because America, you know, we've allowed this corruption, we've allowed the two-party system, and this is what happens when there's no real progressive, there's no real, you know, what Chris Hedges says, when the liberal institutions that are usually there to challenge and keep power in check and checks and balances isn't there, then we have demagogues and lunatics like Trump. Phil Britton, an intentionally dumbed down society is controllable, complicit, complacent society. Yeah, that's absolutely true. That's part of it. This is the 4 or 5 decades of corporate coup and the erosion of public schools and all of the stuff that basically makes it hard to have an intelligent, engaged society and an engaged electorate. You know, when we have 58% voter turnout in presidential elections, you know, one of the Obama elections had like 60-some%. Everyone was like, wow, big turnout. No, that's not. That's a D. You know, that's awful. So that's part of it, is you're seeing this is the fruition of the 4 or 5 decade long corporate coup of America, making everybody dumb, misinformation, people not paying attention. They want you to be apathetic. They want, and you go out in the world, man, and it's hard. You know, I'm feeling sort of estranged from some friends and even somewhat in comedy and show business because no one's paying attention. Everyone just is like, well, you watch the news, it's so depressing. And it's like, yeah, I get that. I get that. As someone that does a news show, you have to take breaks. Like, I have to take time out and do fun stuff. But I think too many Americans just, oh, it's too hard, and they just quit. And because apathy's easy. Apathy's easy, and they make it that way. They make apathy easy. It's easy to just sit here and get high and play video games and not pay attention. And, oh, maybe you just post some hashtag resist tweet or a meme or something. Okay. But to get out there on a daily basis and try to do something to try to make a difference, even just volunteer work, even just, you know, charity, volunteer your time for whatever, Big Sisters, Big Brothers, or, you know, a couple hours a month is hard for people to commit to. And it's so much easier to just go out and get drunk and high and fuck off. I've had to end some, you know, relationships as a result of that, and it's really painful, but that's how most people want to do it, and it's society has designed that, so nobody wants to pay the fuck attention. Cannon fodder. Hey, Mike, what do you think about the poll that says the most Republicans would delay the 2020 elections because of voter fraud? Well, that's an interesting thing, cannon fodder, because there's so much corruption on both parties. There's voter fraud, there's gerrymandering, there's voter suppression, which the Democrats have do in the primaries, and the Republicans do it in the general. So we're in crazy times, man. I don't know what's going to happen. There might be an impeachment. There might be a special election. Like that's a great question, cannon fodder, and I don't know what the real answer is and what's going to happen with, when Trump, if they try to impeach him, because like generals and former military people, I did a video on this, are like, he's an idiot, doesn't know what he's doing. Like Republicans, like conservative people that have worked in Republican White Houses are like, this Trump guy doesn't know what he's doing. So the Republicans have power now as a result of him, and they're not going to want to give that up. So how they handle 2020 will be very interesting. A lot of crazy shit's going to happen between now and then. Trust me. It's going to get crazier. Adam the Awesome One, can you lock the hashtag resistance people with donut emojis in their Twitter names in the crematorium? Oh my God, that's a reference to the game show Cram that I hosted on the Game Show Network. You snooze, you lose. There's the camera. That was fucking funny, Adam. Yes, I would love to take the hashtag resist donut emoji people on Twitter and put them in the crematorium. I'll get right on that, bro. To Dirk Namor, thanks for showing up. That poll result is scary. Yes, it is. Hugh Edwards, Chavez said if climate change was a bank, USA would have fixed it. Yeah, that's true, man. It's ridiculous. That's absolutely true. I've heard versions of that joke in numerous places. If climate change was a bank, it'd be bailed out. It's unbelievable. No one wants to deal with it. Now we've got this lunatic in charge. So, a friend of mine's just going to buy a used electric car today. I was like, go for it. And I'm up for this job, and if it comes through, I think I might get an electric car, because fuck the oil companies. Don't forget, guys, Super Chat Sunday, hit the money thing so you can support. It's a great way to support the show, and you get your question definitely asked. Kevin, do I know anything about the 20 million TYT took recently? Nope, I do not. I haven't been over there in a while. Last time I was on that show was maybe... I'm only when Jimmy asked me to be on Aggressive Progressive am I over there. I know some of the people over there. They're pretty cool. I get along with them, but I don't know anything about the inner workings of TYT at all. I'm not an employee of them. I'm only a guest of Jimmy Dore on Aggressive Progressive, so I have no information. In fact, I just learned about it now, so I'd love to know myself. Tammy Burnett, most people are busy having to work to live. They do not have time to get online and find the truth. They only have the mainstream media feeding them misinformation. They do not even know it. Tammy, that's fair. That's a good point. And that's by design as well. They want you so working. They don't want you to have good health care, good schools, or good jobs. They don't want minimum wage to be good. They want you busting your ass working 2-3 jobs a day so you don't have time to pay attention. And you just watch 20 minutes of CNN or Fox or whatever and you think you're informed. And that's also by design. I guess some of the apathy I'm referring to is maybe just some people here in show business, but I do see some apathy out there. Jenny Lynn, hey, sexy revolutionaries. Loves Happy Sunday. Thanks, Jenny. My birthday was last Saturday, August 5th. So I just turned 29. Come on, buddy. Haha, that old joke. Thanks for joining us. George Ho, what was the trust in government like pre-9/11 and events leading up to the lies of the institutions claiming Iraq as WMD, especially in... revelations of Russian hacking today? Well, that's a great question, George. I think people have stopped trusting their government since Vietnam and Watergate, right? So, but, there's always a new generation coming forward, and I think that's a great question. A lot of people on the left were like, when the way George Bush won the election in 2000, it was rigged and hanging chads and the Supreme Court, and then Gore wouldn't fight the Supreme Court or whatever. Jenny Lynn, thanks for the birthday wishes and the explosion party emoticons. You're very nice. I've never been called a sexy revolutionary before, but that's pretty rad. Yeah, Georgia, back to your question, though. The vibe, I think, and then after 9/11, I remember it quite vividly. Everybody was, came together, and we got to support George Bush. We got to support our president. Everybody, people who did not like him at all, who thought he stole the election, were like supporting him. It was very effective. And everyone was like, boy, we got to retaliate. We got to do something. There was a lot of, and some people were like, retaliate against about what? Against who? There's not like an army that invaded us. It was guys with box cutters. I mean, really, the Twin Towers got taken down with box cutters. So I think there was healthy skepticism then, but I think people were far more trusting. And now I don't think anybody knows up from down. It's so chaotic. And you still sort of trusted the news a little bit back then. Even though a lot of people didn't, you still sort of like, well, and now it's just all the institutions are done. It's crazy. And I don't know. That's a really great question and observation. Redborn recruitment here in the UK. Corbyn is getting aggro from media for his stance on Venezuela, which is basically it's none of our business. Yet the Tory party has no aggro for being in bed with Saudi Arabia. Thoughts? Yeah, Corbyn is. I'm following a little bit of what he's doing. What's going on in Venezuela, I'm paying attention to it a little bit, but I need to spend more time on it. I've had some of you ask me to spend more time on it, and I just haven't had the chance. But, that's, yeah, I mean, the hypocrisy of, the UK is in bed with Saudis just like we're in bed with the Saudis, so to then be critical of Corbyn. But you got to understand, Corbyn is... he's getting a lot of power from what I understand. Bernie Sanders has power because he's the most popular politician in America, but Corbyn has even probably more power than Bernie does, and he's a threat, so they're going to go after Bernie, they're going to go after Bernie and Corbyn as much as they can. Those are my thoughts on that. Thanks for asking. Hugh Edwards support his Patreon. Yes, please do. Patreon.com/Graham Elwood. You guys are great for all the birthday wishes. You guys are fantastic. Tammy Burnett, George Ho, I think many people know that Bush was telling lies. That's where there's so many protests leading up to the war. Yeah, Tammy, that's a good point. There were a lot of leading up to the Iraq war. So I think what happened, I'm glad you brought that back up because it goes back to George's question, and I'm remembering some stuff. I think Afghanistan made more sense because everyone was like, oh, that's where the terrorist camps are and bin Laden's there, so we need to go into Afghanistan, and we were in there like a month after 9/11. Well, officially. I mean, we had Special Forces people there immediately, my understanding was. And I think for me and many others, like Afghanistan made sense to me. Okay, this is where the camps are that did the 9/11 bombings. This is where they're training. Okay, we need to invade Afghanistan. Iraq, I was like, wait, what? Weapons of mass destruction, and there was a lot of protests, and that's when people stopped having faith in George Bush, and then the lies, what happened with Scooter Libby, and the weapons of mass destruction were complete nonsense, and that's when a lot of people were like, this is all bullshit. So that's a good point. Thank you, Marcia Smith. Zox, yeah, I think a lot of Americans are going to rethink things they consider to be conspiracies like 9/11. Yeah, it's interesting. I think Americans are more and more starting to wake up and see sort of the long game here because Trump is so flagrant in his manipulation and his tactics and his poll ratings are down. I'm going to invade Syria, like, they're going to uncover information about me or whatever. Like, North Korea, I'm going to wipe them off the earth. So... 44 people watching. Yeah, share this to your friends online. Jake Smith, superdelegates will make it hard for Tulsi or Nina. That's a great point. Yeah, you said, Jake Smith, you said Kamala already has 800 superdelegates. Yeah. New York and Cali. That's the issue, and that's why though Nina and Tulsi really need honestly, I think I really, the more I think about, if now that you're telling me Kamala Harris is lining up super delegates, it's why Nina and Tulsi need to start a third party and run. You know, like it needs to be like Bernie and Nina, or Bernie and Tulsi, or Tulsi and Nina and running. I think Bernie needs to be in there because he has a lot of sway and he could bring a lot of people, and start a third party, because Kamala Harris is just going to already steal her way into the thing. And, oh, you know, she's diversity, and they'll, even though she's corporate and corrupt. So that's how you thwart it, is you get Nina and Tulsi to run against her. Then they can't play, because if you just get a bunch of, and this is what, you know, Hillary was trying to do, you just get a bunch of white guys running against Kamala Harris, well, then she wins. You know, she wins the diversity thing. But if you get Nina and Tulsi running against her, then it's like, okay, now we have to go on your record, your past record, your policy, and everything you did as Attorney General and as a senator. Yeah, Phil Britton, superdelegates are the DNC's way of ensuring your votes don't count. Yeah, it's a complete scam. Zox, you cannot win in the system or out of the system, but if you run out of the system, you keep your honor. Yeah, that's true. I think a third party could do it, man. I think a real third party, and you get Bernie, and you get all these Nina and Tulsi and whatever, even Jill Stein, get a whole group of people that have some influence, and then get somebody, you know, and get the people to donate, because a lot of people are sick of giving money to the Democrats, because they're just like, I know some diehard Democrats who are just like, I can't give them money anymore. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. So there's money out there to be raised if you had a real strength, a real cause. So, Troxney's Refuge. Debbie the Same Progressive for President. She's awesome, man. I give her so much credit, what she's built up. You know, and she's I'd love to interview her. Redborn recruitment now. Serious question. Who wins, McGregor or Mayweather? Well, if they were fighting MMA, McGregor would win. If it's boxing, it'll be Mayweather, in my opinion. I think they should do MMA, but Mayweather would never do that because he'd get clocked. So where are we at? George O. In the U.S., it seems most people don't know that there was a Korean War in the 1950s where 1 million North Koreans, including unarmed civilians, also with the majority of main cities destroyed. Yeah, my uncle fought in North Korea, George. Thanks for bringing that up. It is literally the forgotten war. And it was called the police action, and that's why we're still strong allies with the South Koreans. And if they launch a strike into Seoul, Korea from the north, and we go in there, we're really gonna have another ground war in North Korea? It's crazy. Yeah, my uncle fought in that war. He was a Marine, and he was in the Chosin Valley, from what I understand, where he got separated from his unit, and he came back, and he was not the same guy. Obviously, we know now the term is PTSD, but nobody knew what it was, and he started to have erratic behavior and stuff, and then he took his own life, maybe in the late 60s or early 70s. I don't know if I had been born yet, but yeah, pretty brutal war. All wars are brutal. Don't forget, guys, the Super Chat. A lot of questions. I can't get to all of them if you really want me to answer, and it's a great way to support the show. Cannon Fodder, the Political Vigilante Party sounds like a party to take on the Dems. Oh, man. I'm telling you, if somebody got by with somebody, I'd run. I'd run for president. And I would love to just get out there and debate these clowns. It would be so great. I would love to debate Trump and some corporate Democrat. I would love to do it. It would be great. I would just throw the fact that I've been to Afghanistan more than them, and I would love to throw the fact that they stole my house. It would be... Jopo, hey Graham, I'm stoked for the concept of Justice Democrat TV / Graham Elwood TYT, solutions-based show on the TYT network. What do you think? I think that's a great idea. I think you should start to, if you guys want me to be on TYT, I don't know, then or be part of Justice Democrats, petition them, because they need to sort of, you know, ask me. I built the show up. I got over 4,400 subscribers thanks to you guys, but they got millions of subscribers. Yeah, pitch it to them, man. I'm down. Zox Ovox, either a draft is coming or a mercenary army like the Romans did in the works, and then as the news is bearing out. Zox Ovox, one of the things too that you bring up a good point, and if we're going to get into this never-ending war and we're invading here and there, so one of the stories I just did was the founder of Blackwater wants to privatize all the military in Afghanistan. And that's a sobering and very scary thought, because if we just have private armies going around that don't have to answer to Congress, don't have any rules of engagement, and basically can do whatever they want, that's what's going to happen. Because I saw a lot of soldiers, military folks, they're like, you know, they got out of the army and then they got a job with Blackwater or whatever, making... Basically, they're making, you know, 35 grand a year with the Army, or they could make $150,000 a year with Blackwater. So as the economy gets worse and people start losing their jobs, then it's going to be like, well, you want a full-time job, join this private military force or join the U.S. military, and there's your work. When nobody wanted to join in 2007, recruiting was really, really hard for the Army. Nobody wanted to go to Iraq. The war was dragging on. We had 150,000 people there and another 40,000 or so in Afghanistan. It was just awful. And nobody the reenlistment was way down. Nobody was signing up. And then, oh, lo and behold, giant, crazy economic crash. And then I talked to so many guys went over there. I did tours in 07 and 08. And then again in 11. But in 08, everyone in 08 was like, well, they gave me a $20,000 re-enlistment bonus. So I was going to get out, but I signed up for another 2 years, and I got 20 grand because there's no jobs back in my town. Literally, that's what was happening. So there's where you're going to be able to get a job, is with the military or private military, which is a little terrifying. Where are we at? Hugh Edwards, is the U.S. military the biggest oil user in the world? I would imagine it would have to be, because our military is bigger. We spend more on military than the next 7 countries combined. So there's no way it isn't. Which is interesting, because when we were in Iraq, some high-ranking generals started to realize that they wanted to move to solar and wind, because the oil supply lines and stuff like that was a strategic issue, and they're like, if we had electric vehicles and solar power and wind power, we could just set up shop in the desert and didn't need to import oil and generators and all this other stuff. So yeah, they probably are. Karen Sheets, are they making an army to attack the American people? Well, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, here's what's going to happen is you have more riots if the economy implodes and people can't eat and feed their families and work and stuff like that, these protests are going to turn into riots, and the American government, especially with this shithead in the White House, they'll just turn the military on people. Here's a crazy thing that I saw a video of from Charlottesville. So the riot cops had all their riot gear, and they were trying to push back the neo-Nazis, right? The Nazis. And the Nazis started pushing the riot cops. And this guy was rolling video, and I'll try to get it and repost it. And he was like, look at this. He's like, this is white privilege. Can you imagine if they did that at a Black Lives Matter rally, and Black Lives Matter was just pushing the riot cops would have gone nuts, man. There would have been nightsticks and tear gas and rubber bullets, and they just let these fucking Nazis push them. It was insane. But as riots get bigger and more violent, this country's just going to, military and its police, which has already been militarized, is just going to respond with just sheer violence. It's going to get ugly. Christopher Ross, Tesla should start working on electric tanks. Well, they're working on all kinds of electric trucks and everything else, so... Jenny Lynn, they are the biggest polluters in the world, the U.S. military. Yeah, they are. C. Rose. Good to have you, C. Rose. TYT just finished getting $20 million investments from Jeffrey Katzenberg, DNC mega donor, fundraiser, and his ilk. Really big problem. I didn't know that. If that is true, that is a little concerning. That is a little concerning. I haven't talked to Jimmy about this in a while. Rhombus isotopes. Society is only 3 missed meals away from chaos. Yeah, that's a great point. People start getting hungry and desperate, they'll do anything. Right now, if you've got a job and a whole life, you have a lot to lose. If you start getting everything taken away from you, I felt that. You know, they took my house and I had to sell my car and all this other stuff, and money was tight, and I remember feeling pretty desperate at times. And I don't own a gun. I don't want to own a gun. But what do you do when society starts collapsing and there's not social services and the electricity keeps going out? What are you going to do? What are people going to do? And how's the government going to react? Zach Davis, have you heard of solar roads? Thoughts? I have not heard of solar roads. I don't know what that is. I'm confused. What is that? A panel of solar? What is a solar road? Right back. Let me know what that means. Shake Smith, I'll only vote anti-way and no PAC money candidates. Yeah, that's for sure. Definitely support candidates that don't take super PAC and big corporate money. That's the quickest way to get them to wake up, to get some change. George Ho, at least with a mercenary army, they are able to overthrow the U.S. government, similar to what happened in the Roman Empire. People who have more respect for their generals are not country. Yeah, who knows? Yeah, that's interesting. Anti-war. Anti-way. All right, yes. Anti-war and no super PAC money. Marshall Villager, the capitalist parasites are preparing a war against we the people. We need a progressive militia movement to arm and defend and serve the people. Fascists need to get stopped by any means necessary. I'm so on the fence on that. I'm so on the fence about like arming and getting it, because I just, you read Hedges and he's covered so many wars, man, in the Balkans and in, Central America, that I wonder if that's going to really make things better, or you're just going to have violence begetting more violence. But then you have the fascists who are willing to drive cars into protesters, and I don't know. I really don't know. I'm sort of, I don't know. I'm sort of confused on this because I'm not sure. I mean, I had 2 uncles that fought in World War II, and they had to fight Nazis because it got so out of hand that the only way to stop Nazis was to kill them. So, I don't know. I don't know how you deal with fascists in a non-violent way. I hope there is a way. I hope there is a way to do it, because if we just start arming everybody and now there's militias, and then America's going to break into civil war, and civil war is awful. It's awful. Friends and family members that you know and love are going to get killed and raped, and civil war is fucking horrifying. Every fun, decent, easygoing thing you have in your life is over. And every day is a battle and a struggle, and I don't want to see that, personally. But I don't know. Zach Davis, there is a company experimenting with solar panel roadways to power cities. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, so the roads are solar panels, so they're constantly generating. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's great. I think you should put a solar panel on everything. And, I've flown a lot in my life, and anytime I'm flying in or out of a city, I just look out the window and see all these rooftops that could be generating power. And you're starting to see more of it, like a parking garage on the roof deck. Any parking lot should have, I've seen it like in Vegas, they'll put solar panels, so now you're getting shade and generating electricity. So I'd like to see that. Don't forget, guys, you can go to the Superchat, support the show, and I'll answer your question. You need it's a little dollar symbol below there. You hit that, and for a couple of bucks, you can support it, and then your question pops up, and I absolutely will answer it. C. Rose, fascism arises from desperation. Solve the desperation and you sap the strength of fascists. Well, that's a great point. Because I've talked about that before. One of the ways that they recruit, so inner city gangs, white nationalist organizations, and terrorist organizations recruit in very similar situations. You have people that don't have a lot of jobs, opportunities, there's not a lot of money, there's not a lot of education, they're in dire times, and this group comes in, the street gang says, hey, we'll protect you and we'll give you a job with money. You know, the KKK comes in and says, hey, white guy, you've been mistreated and shitty, and we got your back. You know, the Zionists have taken your job away, or whatever the fuck they say, and the terrorists do the same thing. Oh, the jobs are shitty, and there's no opportunities here in this poor Middle Eastern country. Well, it's because of Israel and the U.S. or whatever, and then that's how they recruit. So, if we had really good jobs, if we brought back a Green New Deal and went into these reddest of red states and put factories that built wind turbines and solar panels, you would start to see less. Right. When people don't have jobs and opportunity, that's when they get violent, and that's when they go to extremist groups. And that's an excellent point. God's favorite atheist. Poison is nonviolent. He he. Ha ha. All right. I see your point. Phil Britton, tax churches. It's a business. Yeah, they should. That is the biggest scam in America. I should just chart the Church of Political Vigilante. Well, now I don't have to pay taxes. That's so crazy. Marital Village. Nobody wants to fight for no reason, but oppressed people have no safety from the KKK cops in America. No, I understand it. I get it. Like, that's why I'm so on the fence, because I see these white guys pushing up, these Klan members pushing up against cops, and they're not beaten to death. And then I see how the black community is treated by the police. I see what happened up at Standing Rock. And I understand if you're getting beaten and pushed around by the cops and you have no other choice, that you're going to arm up, start a militia, and defend yourself. I get that. I get that. I truly do. Marital Village. Maybe if the world had united against Hitler years earlier instead of cheerleading him, maybe we wouldn't have had World War II. Yeah, that's a really good point. You had people like Henry Ford, Kevin Martinez, what about solar sidewalks? Yeah, you could put solar panels on everything, dude. You could put solar panels on everything. Let's scroll up here. Christopher Ross, I feel like roads are the worst option to implement solar panels because you have cars blocking light, traffic jams, dirt, and debris could build up to reduce their efficiency. Yeah. I mean, obviously the rooftop is the best choice. I think we put solar panels on every roof. I think you start building. I mean, Tesla, Elon Musk has to be working on this. His electric cars must have solar panels on the roofs and the hood, and right? So it's constantly generating electricity. I would love to see that. I need more information on the solar road thing, quite honestly. Air Force Max, Trump walks away from reporters after being asked to denounce white supremacists. Yeah, Steve Bannon is a Nazi and he's in the White House, and Trump, he's just like, oh, these actions were bad. He didn't say these Nazis in Virginia are awful and we need to stop those groups. He won't say it because they helped get him elected. I mean, the Klan backed him. There was people doing Nazi salutes at his rallies. I remember that. I remember in the primary talking to a friend of mine, and he goes, who are you going to vote for? And I said, Trump's a scary guy. I said, there's people doing Nazi salutes in his rallies. And he goes, all right, Graham, come back from the left. Come back. Easy, easy. Okay, you're going to vote for Bernie. And I was like, yeah, I'm voting for Bernie because this is I said, and I didn't want to vote for Hillary because of oligarchy. And he was like, oh, that's not a real reason. Here we are. Cannon fodder. The karma in this country is very toxic. I believe that eventually good karma has to come around. I hope so. I hope everybody starts waking up. But I'm seeing so much people checking out. Like everybody's just sort of checking out. I hope more. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of protests. You're seeing a lot of people going to town hall meetings, and we've talked about that. And then you're seeing, though, just a lot of people kind of not caring and not wanting to paying attention and just sort of YOLO. And so I don't know. That bums me out. I don't know. What else do we got here? God's favorite atheist. Love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend. God's favorite atheist? That is an excellent point. And that's a principle of Kung Fu. Is the highest form of Kung Fu is to make your enemy your friend. So if you could somehow do that, and I understand, like there's some guy waving a Nazi flag around and you want to go be friends with him, that'd be a tough thing to do. However, there was a documentary that just came out, and I forget the name of it, but I was in the Napa Film Festival with this filmmaker about a blues musician, a black dude who became friends with the Klan member, and they're like really good friends. And you see them being interviewed, and the Klan guy's like in his full bedsheet hood thing, and he's like, "Yeah, man, he's my friend." And so that's bold. And I think God's favorite atheist, if you tried that, if you tried love, love is a pretty powerful thing. It's true, pure love. It scares people. And if people don't love themselves, then sometimes they get mad when you're like, "Hey, I love you." And they're like, "Fuck you, you're an idiot. You're the worst." And I'm like, "Hey, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you feel that way." But yeah, love is a pretty powerful thing. And maybe that's the thing we should start with first before like everybody getting a gun and starting a militia. I'd like to see that. Because the alternative is pretty gnarly. All right, guys. 41 of you watching. Phil Britton. Predatory capitalism depends upon fear-mongering propaganda. Propaganda is repetition. Repetition is propaganda. Rinse and repeat. Yeah, that's a good point. We need everybody afraid. We always need an enemy, or they're coming to get us, or whatever. And so much of it, at least in this country, then, is based on racism, you know. Sorry. And nobody wants to... it goes back to the thing we were saying at the top of this discussion, which is like Trump and people on the right, conservatives, can't sit... They just can't say, "Oh, these are terrorists. These are white Nazi terrorists. They acted just like the fundamental Islamic radicals. They act the same way. They believe in their God. They believe they're doing it for justice, and they got to make the race pure, whatever their crazy shit is, and they're willing to do violence to support it." And it's a scary thing. Jeremy Walker, you were being watched, Graham. Yeah, I guess so. Air Force Max, love and lust are extremely influential. Yeah, they are. Zox Ovox. I think if we nuke that Trump and this government will be over shortly thereafter. Oh, there's going to be a lot more problems than just that. Jopo, true love, that was precious stuff, brother. Yeah, man, we got to get to the love. You know? I've been through a lot of pain recently, and I'm realizing, you know, first you respond with anger, and then underneath anger is a lot of sadness and a lot of grief. That's really what's underneath most anger. I was denied, I was made to feel less than, whatever. And maybe you're, you know, a poor white dude in a poor white town, and you feel like you've been made less than, and just like someone in an inner city is made to feel less than, and then they respond with violence and anger versus love, and there isn't enough of an education system there to go, hey, it's really the capitalists and the one percenters are screwing you over. The corporate state has made it so no one can have a job and there's no more upward mobility in America. So, but me personally, I've just had to deal with some stuff recently, and it's painful, and it's easy to be like mad about it, but it's also sometimes it's just better to go to like a place of love. And some of the love has to come from like you know, loving myself enough to where I'm not going to take this, his behavior is really sort of hurtful, so I don't have to put up with it anymore. So what else do we got here? Drones that don't melt. Marital Village, Black Panther Party were the original political vigilantes. I hope you study them. There's a lot of propaganda against them, but they were principled young leaders in their community, truly courageous. Yeah, oh yeah. And I remember, I think it was in California, when Reagan was the governor maybe, they came into the Capitol building in Sacramento all legally owning guns. Like, whoa, we get to own guns, right? And that's when they're like, oh, this gun law started because we can't let black people own guns. We can let white people own guns legally. Look at the Philandro Castle thing. He was a legal gun owner. Yeah, I'll do some more information on the Black Panther Party. And of course, they were demonized as violent blacks or whatever when they were just trying to empower their community. Vermont Bread Smith. Hi, Graham. I get it. I feel less than at times. Yeah, Vermont Bread Smith. So start loving yourself, because here's the thing. If you deal with somebody, if you've ever worked with someone, friend or, you know, serious relationship, if that person doesn't love themselves, and it doesn't matter how much you love them and tell them they're great, if they don't love themselves, it's going to blow up. You know, so start by loving yourself first and be the best friend to yourself and learn how to do self-care. And I would suggest support groups or whatever else, therapy, whatever else you can do to get to that place. To be a really, because I think there's also this thing in America, I think it's a human trait, but I think it's prevalent in America of like, no, I got it. Oh, I don't want to go to a therapy or support group. That means I'm weak. That means, no, that means actually you're very courageous and strong to admit that you need help with whatever the thing is. Gambling, whatever the thing is. So there's a 12-step group for everything. Food, gambling, sex, alcohol, drugs, other people's behaviors making you act crazy, whatever. So start doing that. And that's why it's called Courage to Change. C. Blaine, we need a third party that will work at the state level. Governors elected are corporate tools. They run for Congress or Senate, and the cycle continues. That is a great point, C. Blaine, and I brought that up numerous times. Everything starts locally. So start getting independents and third parties elected at the local level. And I mean school board, city council, little less stuff like that. And that's where you'll start to see. You'll start to see change. You'll start to see it grow. You'll start to see it infiltrate and get up into the higher levels. But that's a great point. Thanks for bringing that up. Rhombus Isotope, the speeches of Fred Hampton are really something to listen to. Brilliant young man, cut down too young. All right, I'll look at that. That's good to know. If you donate to the Patreon at the $5 level, you can pick a topic for me to talk about. There's also starting to do bonus content. So I started to do the podcast because I got this new fancy laptop, so I can, my other laptop is super old, so I can record. I'm taking the audio from the YouTube shows and putting it together and then releasing that, and then taking some of that audio that isn't released on iTunes and releasing it also on the Patreon, and then doing some bonus art interviews and stuff. So there you go. Support the show. Gonna wrap up here soon, guys. Air Force Max, Dem exit, and the Republicans and Democrats are evil. That's funny. Marital Village. Lenin said the capitalists will sell us the ropes we will later hang them with. They treat the NRA the same. All right, friend, easy. Air Force, don't say that publicly. Air Force Max, the white militias are racist, and the NRA too. Oh, the NRA is so fucking racist. They're not about laws and conservation. They're racist. They should have been backing what happened to Philandro Castle so loud and so hard. He was a legal gun owner, told the cop he was pulled over for a busted taillight and said, I'm a legal gun owner, I have a permit, I have the gun on me. Cop said, let me see your ID, reaches in for his ID and gets shot. NRA should have been all over that. They're such punks. Kirk, OK 55. We have 9 different political parties in our national parliament right now. That's cool. Kirk DK 55. Read Marx, yeah. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna I think I'm going to wrap this up. I appreciate it. It's great. Again, great questions. You guys are fantastic. And yeah, I read Chomsky. I got to start. I'm reading Chomsky right now. Oh, Karen Sheets. Look at you. Karen, you're so awesome. You support the show so many ways. You're so fantastic. Can this country move to the future with all the division that is happening? Hating people is so hard to maintain. It has never changed people's minds or hearts. Can this country change? Man, Karen, I ask myself that question every day. And when I see stuff that happened, like what happened in Virginia, I think, oh no, we can't. But then I see things that do give me hope. I see a lot of like real progressives running for office, like Sam Ronan and that woman Estacio that was on the Jimmy Dore show. She's running in New York, and other people. And I see organizations, and I see people doing good stuff, and I see people doing charity work. I saw this on the news today, the local news. This high school girl did a golf fundraiser for an organization that deals with children that are homeless, because 1 in 6 homeless people are children. And she raised $250,000, this high school girl. And I was like, you know, I wasn't raising 250 grand when I was in high school. I was just a dummy playing football. And to see people doing that, and I think more people are getting involved as a result of this election. It's going to be tough, and America is facing a real challenge, and it might not be able to change. It might not fix itself. But I think enough people are. Some people say, oh, I want to make a change, and then they're confronted with having to really change their lifestyle and change their stuff, and they're unwilling to, and then they just go back to apathy and partying or whatever. You know, I remember talking to some people after the election. They were like, yeah, man, I got to do something. I was like, cool, let's do it. What do you want to do? And then they slowly just kind of didn't do it and stopped doing it, and then just checked out. And so that was a bummer. But I think, Karen, look for the positive stuff. Look for the stuff. Look for the people that are making a difference. Look for the small victories. Look for the fact that more people are just paying attention. That's part of it, because apathy has gutted this country on so many levels, so that the fact that apathy is starting to be replaced by participation is a good thing. So, and again, it starts with us. If we start coming from a more loving, compassionate place, then we can help change the little corners of the world that we all live in. All of the little places we live in, my little apartment here, this little show, your little lives, my little life, your little. I mean, I don't say that in a demeaning manner. I mean, like, none of us are like heads of state. So, try to do it on a daily basis. Sometimes, you know, I ride my bike around and I'm all like, look at these idiots. What are they doing? And I realize, no, that I can't go through the day that way. And I can't go through the day not trusting people. It's not a good thing to go through the day not trusting people. I should go through the day looking for positive stuff. I should go through the day trying to find the good in people. And I'm not going to sit and tolerate bad behavior from anybody. But I'm also going to try to find and gravitate to people that are supportive and have the same cause and mission as you. And it means sometimes you got to walk away from some people that aren't like down with the good fight and down with making a difference and down with sacrificing a little bit for the greater good. And it doesn't have to be extreme. It's not like we all got to quit our jobs and move into an ashram or whatever, or just full-time, you know, become full-time volunteer protesters or whatever. But I think that's a way to do it. So, because hate is easy. Hate, fuck you. But it also, hate ends up taking a lot of effort and a lot of time and a lot of energy. And I feel exhausted when I'm all angry like that. And I think when I get into the gratitude of things, and first I got to go through the pain, and that might be some of it too. We all might need to just kind of go through a little bit of a grieving process about whatever, this country. And then through there we can start to find some gratitude and some forgiveness. I don't know. Oh my God, Jenny Lynn, thank you. You're very sweet. Thanks, Jenny. You guys are so supportive, man. It's awesome what you're doing. It's yeah. I won't go into too many details, but it's been a challenging couple of weeks, even a couple months. So, but you guys are fantastic. That's so sweet. You guys are you're so great. Thanks for supporting the show. Joe Poe, 1 in 6 homeless or children sick. Empty politics, empty politicians, empty churches. Where is the pro-lifers? Oh, God. Don't get me started. Don't get me started. Some churches do some good stuff, but overall, it's like I see the Catholic Church telling, women in poor countries, don't have abortions, don't use birth control, and then these women are having all these extra babies, and is the church coming in to support them? Nope. No, they're not. No, they're not. They are not doing that. So, but again, going back to what Karen said, and the heart icon that Jenny Lynn just posted, let's try to find the love and the goodness. Let's find the little church that actually is helping out and get behind them, whether you're a practicing of that religion or not, whether you're an atheist or you're whatever. You're a sexist burn bro like Jenny Lynn is, or you're God's favorite atheist or whatever. Start by being more accepting, and I've found doing volunteer work makes me feel more connected to people, and I've met more people. Like I've done volunteer work for the American Red Cross, and I currently do sort of like a big brother mentor thing for a couple of young guys, like kids, and their mom is in a tough situation. So I'm, I don't have the time to do that all the time, but just a little bit, a couple times a month makes me more connected, and I'm also learning and meeting people in a completely different walk of life from me, in a different neighborhood, different everything, different background, different way they were raised. Everything's different, and it's good for me to see that, because if I just hang around a bunch of people that are like me, college-educated white people or whatever, just college-educated people of any ethnicity who all have decent jobs and whatever, then I'm not seeing the whole picture. And this is just in my town of Los Angeles. There's parts of Los Angeles that are drastically different than where I live. And I get to be exposed to their different world, and I can expose them to stuff I see in my world, and it makes both of us better. So that's what I would recommend. That actually helps. That's another way, Karen Sheets, people can save this country and be better, is if we all just help out a little bit. Again, a little bit. I think what happens is Americans think in such extremes. So it's like, well, unless I can raise $1 million or quit my job and be a full-time volunteer for this, the Peace Corps, Habitat for Humanity, then forget it. And it's like, no, it's just little things. You can give a couple hours a week or a couple hours a month even. You don't have to write a check for 10 grand. Maybe you write a check for $10, and that helps. So all those little things are great. Thank you, Jenny Lynn, and thank you, Karen Sheets. You guys are fantastic. Zoxovox gram rocks, $10 per gram. Ha ha! Drug joke. Woo! All right, you guys. This is fantastic, and yeah, you're right, Karen Sheets. No, you change when you help people. Yeah, it changes you for the better. I've learned that going overseas and doing the shows in the war zones for the soldiers and seeing how much it affected them. I'm not a big military guy, obviously, but it affected. I just did some shows. It's funny. A couple weeks ago, I did a show at a rehab center. A friend of mine works there, and a bunch of us comics did a show at this rehab center. And these are people, like, some of them just out of prison, some of them just off the streets, who are having a real tough time. Like, literally, like, if they skip out on rehab and go on the streets and start using heroin, they could be dead. And we made them laugh, and it was an awesome show. And then the next night I did a show at the Hollywood Improv, and it didn't go well, and it was like a bunch of just snarky hipsters, like, and I was like, God, fuck you, man. Like, the night before, we were literally a bunch of comics, and we didn't even get paid. We just did it to do the right, because it's good. We have a talent and an ability, and we were able to make some people, and everyone was like, hey, thank you so much. And my friend who works at the rehab center, like, later in the week sent us all an email, like a photo of this guest book, and everyone at the rehab center was like, oh my God, they were talking about the show all week, and it helped everybody who's trying to recover and trying not to go back out on the streets and use serious drugs that will probably kill them. So, yeah, man, that's what we do. You guys are awesome. So, thanks. This one made me kind of emotional, but it's all a good thing. So, you guys are fantastic. We had 36 people watching. We are all connected, God's favorite atheist. Yeah, we had over 40-some people watching. Like I said, I'll probably try to do this every week. I can't commit just now because things are sort of in flux for me, but I'll send out either on Saturday or Sunday morning. If I know I can do it that Sunday, I'll send something out on Twitter and my Facebook fan page and everything else. Karen Sheets and Jenny Lynn, you guys are fantastic for supporting the show. All you guys who sent in comments, I'm starting to see some of the same names, some of the new names. You guys are great. I'm also going to put here the Patreon link for anyone that's new. You can support the show. You get bonus content. And then like and subscribe and share the videos and watch the ads that play. Watch them play all the way through. If you click skip ad, I don't get paid. If you let them play all the way through, that's a great free way. Some people said open up a separate browser window so you can just let the ads play on one and start watching the videos on the other. So that's cool if you do that. You guys are great. Cannon Fodder, C. Rose, Jenny Hall, Air Force Max, George Ho! All of you guys are fantastic. Jeremy, I've said Phil Britton, Sean Comets, Jeremy Walker, Hugh Edwards, Oxovox, George Ho. You guys are fantastic. And, of course, Karen Sheets and Jenny Lynn. You guys are fantastic. Thank you so much for supporting the show and making me feel like that I'm having some sort of positive impact and I'm making even a small difference. I really, really appreciate it. So thank you guys for watching. Make Gotham great again.